music was almost perfectly timed today. Almost. I think I've got just a bar or two that are a little bit off. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where in the world you are watching us from. My name is Brenda Beller, and this is my show, which I call Enthusiastically Self-Employed, where we speak to individuals from across the world who have business, marketing, or LinkedIn tips to share with all of you. And we have a special edition today because we have a LinkedIn rockstar in our midst, Kevin D. Turner. Hey, Kevin, how are you doing today?
Brenda, fantastic. I'm really excited to be here with you because I think you're incredible. Great respect. And so just excited to be here.
Likewise, Kevin. And you and I have known each other for a while. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a second. But while we are doing that, I want to invite our audience. If you are watching us live, we would love it if you could drop a comment below and let us know that you're watching. We see already a couple comments coming in from Muhammad, from Royce on here. So whether you know me or Kevin, we'd love to have you jump into comments and just say hello. Maybe tell us the city or the country where in the world you're watching us from. That lets us know about our reach. Now, Kevin, you and I can't even remember where the first interaction was. I could probably look back in our messaging history, but I know that you were on my LinkedIn Rockstar list that I was doing for years up until the end of 2022. And I was telling you in the pre-show, I was looking at the standings, like where everyone was, and I ranked the rock stars based on follower growth. And I know you were in the top 20 when I pulled it up the last time I published it. But more importantly than the actual rankings were, I think, the community that we created through that group. And I met so many wonderful people, including you. And I continue to follow you and learn from you and probably message you once a week, if not monthly. You know, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But there may be a few folks that are watching here today that have never heard of Kevin D. Turner. I can't even believe it, but there's a possibility. So for those individuals, could you take a minute, tell us your name, what do you do, and who do you help?
Absolutely. And Brenda, I was thoroughly impressed that you kept that rock star list going because I know that thing just grew tremendously and all the statistics you had to pull manually, right?
Yeah.
There's no other way. I was always impressed that you got it done, and I completely understand why you stopped doing it. But it did. It built a huge community, and many of the people on there we're still connected with on a regular basis. And I love hearing from you every day, any day. My name is Kevin D. Turner. I'm a managing partner with TNT Brand Strategist. I actually run a business with my wife, believe it or not. At one point in my career, I was traveling 80% of my month, doing business in 140 countries. And I got tired of it, right? And I said, you know, I talked to my wife, I said, let's do something we can do together. And that's where we created our business, and we haven't stopped. So it's been about 15 years. It is incredible. It's TNT Brand Strategist. We help organizations and individuals refine what their message is, refine the brand. I always say, eliminate the bland, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people have a tendency to do, is try to be everything to everybody. And you know, the old expression, you're nobody at that point, or you don't offer any solutions to anybody in particular. So we help people kind of get that focus back. And that's what we do. And that's LinkedIn is a huge piece of that, because amazing enough, LinkedIn is a microcosm of the real world, right? On steroids. You don't have to leave your house. You can do everything you can do in the real world. And that is a huge opportunity, especially when it comes down to branding. Most places on the internet might talk about you. You don't have control. On LinkedIn, you have some control, right? And so that's, I think, what got me interested in LinkedIn very early on.
Mm-hmm.
And what always keeps me attached here is just that community, the ability to communicate, just the people you can meet, the ideas you can share.
Yeah. Awesome. And we're going to have such a great I'm super excited about this, because anytime I get to talk to somebody who's like one of my peers, it's exciting because I always walk away with new insights. And I find that when we collaborate on live streams like this, we pull in people from your network who haven't heard about me, my network who haven't heard about you. And in the pre-show, I was talking about, you know, at the end, I'll ask you, as I do all of my guests, if people are interested in working with you, how can they work with you? And there might be a few folks that are watching right now going, Brenda, why are you bringing Kevin D. Turner on? He does similar work to you. Kevin and I are both of the abundance mentality. There's more than enough work to go around for all of us. And there are some people that will just kind of feel that vibe of wanting to work with me, or, you know, they feel more drawn to Kevin. and that's fine. And I think a rising tide lifts all boats is our
Mhm.
mentality here. And today's conversation, we're going to be talking about LinkedIn and branding. And I want to start with one of our interactions this week, Kevin. We're in a couple of group threads on LinkedIn and some DM group threads,
Yep.
LinkedIn Experts International, and I think there's a US one, and there's some other ones that we're both in. And you're always posting updates in the group, and you publish this newsletter, and maybe I'm articulating it incorrectly. You can correct me in a moment here I'm wrong, but you publish this newsletter with updates about LinkedIn and the platform. And as you publish them, you'll kind of say what the feature is, what's
Mhm.
changing, retiring, etc., when it was first found in the wild, and who found it. And I've set a goal for myself to be 3 this year, to have 3 found in the wilds by Brenda Meller on Kevin's list. And I think I only have 1. So this week I noticed that when I logged into LinkedIn, things seemed different. And I was like, I couldn't quite place my finger on it, but things seemed different. So I immediately went into those groups and I said, has anyone noticed it looks different this week? I don't know what it is, but it looks different. And then immediately afterwards, I think I was doing a post and I saw there was an AI suggestion for a post. I'm like, "Oh, that's
Mhm.
the first time I've seen that." And I grabbed a screen capture and I immediately sent it to you and I said, "This is what I'm seeing. This is what it does. Have you heard about this yet?" And you replied back within hours saying, "Yep, I got it. It was published in August." I was like, "Oh, so close." Tell us a bit about this newsletter that you do and, give us some information about that if you could.
Absolutely, Brent. And I'm excited. It is about community, right?
Yeah.
This whole thing, I never try to take credit for everything in here. Some things I do find because I'm on LinkedIn a lot, but other people find them, and the only reason they share them with me is they know I'll share them with everybody else, and I'll give credit. Right?
That's exactly
You
it.
got to do that. And the way LinkedIn is set up, when a feature comes out, it comes out in 5 waves. Right? They're randomized. They're timed. We're never in the first wave all the time, right? Maybe this week, but not next month, you know. And so we're never going to be the first to have it all the time. Some people pretend they are, right? But they're not. Some people brag when they get it, but they don't always get it first. But by having a group of everybody who is in represented in each wave, right? You'll
Mhm.
always have the right information. And we try to work with everybody to kind of capture them, create demo gifts so people can kind of see them as they move through the process. We try to get as much information as we can and get it out there. And again, credits to anybody who captures it in the wild because that's important. Otherwise, nobody would do it. So
And
that's
LinkedIn doesn't do this. They don't really have, like, one page where they say, "Here are all the updates on the platform." Like, sometimes they might post blogs or there's, like, the help section might be updated, but I've noticed a lot of times, Kevin, that they don't update the help section as soon as a feature changes, and maybe that's due to the 5 waves. Any thoughts on that?
that's a big piece of it. Interesting enough, and I have many I call them insiders, right? People inside LinkedIn who talk to me sometimes. Sometimes they stop talking to me if I ask the right questions. But they have told me there is not a total list of feature changes
Mm,
within LinkedIn. So there
that's
isn't
just
one place
amazing.
they can go. There isn't a library. There isn't a list.
Yeah.
There just doesn't exist. So they come to this list that we've been building now for about 6 years.
They come to
And
your list, the people
yeah,
from
they come to my
LinkedIn.
list. That's how I know many of them because they'll say, you're always on top of this. You're always getting this out there.
Yeah.
We don't even know this internally. So
Yeah.
to me, that's a little scary.
Mhm. So,
Uh,
can I ask you a question, Kevin? Because I've
yeah.
talked to you about this before, like monetizing this value, because it's something that we don't see. And I know we've kind of talked about this a little bit before. Now there's this thing called Substack that's out there, and
Uh-huh.
I'm learning more and more about it. Are you on Substack yet?
I've been on Substack for years. I
Yeah.
don't do
Okay.
anything with it.
Okay.
My thought is, and even the same thing, if I were to put this into a private group, right,
But you
and
know
only
where I'm
share it with
going with this. Why not charge people $5 a month for your list update?
because
Hmm.
I probably wouldn't get anybody contributing to it, right?
Hmm.
Because if you're giving me the information that
Yeah.
I'm then now charging for, why would you give it to me? You'd be like, "Hey, I'm Brenda. I gave you that last capture. I want my $5 worth," right? So
Yeah.
by taking the monetary out of it, it's
Hmm.
just been a nice collaborative, a
It's
share,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And if I were to put it behind a firewall or charge
Yeah.
for it, I lose all the I don't know, the revolutionaries who are supporting the process, right? They're the ones
The
coming to me going,
organic
"Hey,
nature
share this,"
of
you know?
yeah, of what it is, because I contribute to it because I know it's going into the it's almost like when you go to the, convenience store and there's the penny, take a penny,
Mhm.
leave a penny. Like, I'm more apt to leave a penny because I know I can take one in the future and, it's I don't know if it's a great analogy or not, but I'm more apt to give to the community pool because 'cause I'm gonna be able to take from it and there's not a hurdle in front of me. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Instead of
Mm.
them having a list, you have to put
Mhm.
$5 in so you can get $5 out later, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Too much
I
to
still feel
manage.
like there's huge value in it, and
Yeah.
hopefully the what you're publishing is leading you to more clients and leading more clients to you, and it is supporting your business.
I think it does for
Yeah,
everybody involved. That's
yeah.
the cool part, and I love that because people will tell me, "Yeah, that capture I provided you and you put out there and you gave me credit, I got business from that." And I said, "That's fantastic." Right?
You just made me think of something too, the Rockstar list that I was doing, it there were some similarities, but there were some
Mhm.
differences with what you're doing. Like I was publishing it because I was learning from all of you. And I wanted to have a systematic way of like looking up people who were further ahead than me in LinkedIn and followers and their business growth. And also people who were kind of up and coming. I wanted to keep an eye on them because we all learn from each other. We all have different
Mhm.
perspectives. It's like looking through the kaleidoscope on LinkedIn. We all see the same things, but from slightly different angles. And I was publishing it out of the goodness of my heart. I did have a couple people approach me saying, they wanted to give me some software and, make some money on it. I'm like, "No, I don't I wanna keep it, like you did,
Yeah.
organic community." And then I started the list started getting so large, and then I had to start splitting it off, and then I started pulling people off of the list, and I had a few, some negative comments and backlash from
Mhm.
that, and I'm like, "You know what? This isn't worth it. It's not fun for me anymore." When I started to get people complaining and criticizing the process, I'm like, now it's not worth it for me. So I stopped publishing it. And you want to keep that process clean and feeling good for you and feeling good for your
Mhm.
community. And I think that's one of the reasons your newsletter has been so successful on there. So do you know right now how many updates to date LinkedIn has had for 2025? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Right at
Approximately?
140,
Yeah. Wow.
but, I think we talked about this earlier. There's so much going on behind the scenes right now. That's where LinkedIn is really investing a lot more.
Hmm.
So, we always think of things as features. What can we actually use, press buttons on, get something from, right? But
Hmm.
LinkedIn is doing a lot of its code effort behind the scenes to eliminate things like pods, right? To
Hmm.
get rid of fake accounts, to get rid of scammers. It's working a lot within that spectrum to solve those
Yeah.
issues. And that's where a big bunch of the coding, because last year at this time, we were close to 200, right? Now we're at
I was going to
140.
say it feels like a lot more this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we just get caught up in it, right? It's
Yeah.
always a lot. When I look back when I started this, it was easy. There was maybe 20, 30, 40 a year,
Right.
much
Mhm.
easier to keep up with.
Yeah.
Now we've got into this kind of numbers where it moves very, very quickly.
So I should
You
be
know?
able to get 2 more found in the wild. I just gotta start paying
Absolutely.
attention.
Absolutely.
And if you're just joining us, we're here today talking with Kevin D. Turner on LinkedIn and branding, and we're talking a little bit about what's happening on LinkedIn and the platform and all the changes and his great newsletter that he publishes. You gotta, follow him on LinkedIn, and you'll be able to see the updates there. But now let's shift to, I guess, the subject of branding. So as it relates to LinkedIn platform changes and new features that have come on, or maybe features that have retired over the past year, do you have any advice for people that might be trying to build up their brand on LinkedIn as it relates to either newer features or maybe some features that have been retired?
You know, I'm trying to think in that sense, building the brand around it. I think the things that we always think about new features, they're kind of neat, right? They're
Mhm.
a little special that gets you to get a little more done, maybe, or you get a little more exposure from it. But the real features of LinkedIn is the ability to communicate, to connect, right? To
Mhm.
share, to build upon that, to collaborate. Those things
Mhm.
never change, you know.
Mhm.
And I always tell people, as you are doing things on LinkedIn, when you're embracing new features, always take it in the same concept of it being a microcosm of the real world, right? If you wouldn't
Yeah.
do it outside, don't do it inside. So, don't take a new feature and use it as a tool to spam people. We know
Yeah.
spam doesn't work, right? Unless you're into annoying 99% of the people and capturing less than 1%, right? It doesn't work. Stay away from it. It can ruin your brand, in that sense. I'm trying to think what features I would
Can I
say.
ask you a question? Because there's something that
Yeah.
you use on your profile. I'm gonna see if I can share the screen so people can see it. It's the rotating banner, and I know
Mhm.
that's not new for 2025. I think that was a 2024, but correct me if I'm wrong there.
I think it came in just at the end of the year, beginning of the first of the year.
Okay. So let's see if I can pull it up on screen here. And as I'm pulling it up on screen, just pay attention to the header, the banner that sits behind Kevin D. Turner, his headshot. Somebody referred to it as like a headboard. And I was like, oh, it kind of is like a headboard. Like I'm relaxing my head against it.
If we're
And
nappy.
what I love about yours is you're almost like poking fun at what the tool is supposed to be used for with this,
It was
right?
interesting because I was one of the first to get this. And I didn't have a second banner. And I said,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm just going to take my first banner, I'm going to flip it upside down, and I'm going to throw it in there because I always remembered I did a BBA in marketing many, many years ago. And I always remember one of the studies was Quick Wash. And Quick
Hmm.
Wash was a laundromat in New York City that ordered new signs, right? They had them delivered, they had them put on, the outside of the building. And during their unveiling of the new brand, they pulled the cover off and all the signs were mounted upside down. The company said,
Wow.
well, you were supposed to approve these before we left. We can come out and fix each one of them, but we're going to have to charge you more money.
Hmm.
Quick Wash, small company, right? Just starting out, said, you know what? We can't, we're going to have to go with it. It became their brand.
Really?
And
Yeah.
people, when you think about it, laundromats, well, what distinguishes a laundromat? The names are all kind of similar. What distinguished that one, it was always upside down. And in the city of signs like New York City, you've got to kind of be unique and stand out. So to me, this was
Mhm.
a tribute to both the Quick Wash and also the fact that some of these features, do you have to die for them? No. Can
Yeah.
you wait till they're available to you in your rollout wave? Probably.
Right. And this is still something I think it's only premium business, right? Premium career or free members can't use this. Is that
Yes, you
correct?
have to be at least business premium and up, which means recruiter and also sales navigator get this.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing I find interesting is it has opened up so many conversations where people can say, "Hey, Kevin, did
Mhm.
you realize your second banner's upside down?"
Oh, see, they think they're catching you with spinach in your teeth,
Oh yeah,
right?
and I
They think
said,
they're doing you a
"Really?
favor. That's
Let me
interesting.
look." And they're like,
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun. It opens up conversations. I tell them the same Quick Mart story, Quick Wash,
Yeah.
and they're all of a sudden like, "Wow, that makes sense." The other thing it has done is people have realized my contact is in my banner,
Yeah.
whereas before when it was static, they didn't know that.
They
And
didn't
I'd
really
have
pay
people
attention
going,
to it.
"I want to connect with you, but I don't know your email, right?
Yeah.
Or can you send me your phone number so we can talk?"
Yeah.
It's
You're
there.
like, "It's right
Always
there."
has
They
been.
can see it. That's right there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm right now I'm using premium career. I'm not job seeking. Let me stop my screen
Mhm.
here so we can get back up on screen again here. I'm not job seeking, but
It's
I've
got a
done
good mix
premium
of
career, I've
features.
done premium
Yeah.
business, I've done sales navigator, I've done monthly, I've done annual. I'm like, we're throwing money at LinkedIn. Are we getting the ROI out of it? For me, I haven't seen enough of a compelling value like to upgrade to premium. Getting that, you get longer, a longer history of who's viewed your profiles. I'm like, 90 days is fine for me to go back. And I think we all got to figure out what works best for us. But have those conversations led to new business for you? Those, pointing
They
out
have.
or
They
yeah.
have. So
Mhm.
I know that that particular feature has actually created business, but it was
Yeah.
because I took it in kind of a cheeky way,
Cheeky
right?
way. I like that.
I made it not what they want as an example,
Not
probably.
they're like, "No,
Yeah,
don't do that. We want you to do this." And this is one of the things I love about you, Kevin, is you and I think we share the abundance mentality. We also share the thought of LinkedIn will give you a box or a feature. And they'll say, "Here's the headline feature and here's what you should put in there." But they'll also say, "Hey, you get 220 characters total." Now, what they won't tell you is the first like 40 to 80 are the most important because they follow you around on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
So there's things that you and I think we kind of push the limits of the boxes and the features that we were given on the platform. And yours is one of the profiles. Whenever I talk about that rotating banner, yours is one of the first profiles I use as an example. And I've never really, I've never explained the story the way that you did. And I just said, I think Kevin's just kind of showing the feature. What I've always thought you were doing is just because it rotates so quickly.
Mhm.
And I see some people using the feature. I'm curious for your thoughts on this. One message, then another message, and it's like you barely get to read it, and then it moves on to the other. And I've heard some people say it's making them dizzy. They don't like it,
Yeah.
or it's frustrating them. So can you give us any tips on, if you do have the rotating banner, things you would not recommend on there?
I wouldn't recommend too many differences in the banners, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
have some core area in the banner that maybe stays the same, maybe you've got, your positioning, your selfie in there, maybe each time you should be in a different position, right? Or pointing to something new, but keep some consistency throughout those banners. I've seen
Yeah.
so many that go from bright yellow to orange to pink to green, and all of a sudden it's like strobe time, right?
Yeah, it's
You're
like,
having an episode. Be conscious of it,
yeah.
in that sense. So I always say keep as much of it the same as the one prior to it, and
Mm-hmm.
just highlight what you really want to bring across, right?
Mm-hmm.
And make it a little different so that they realize, hey, there's some effort in here. These things are changing. Maybe I should pay attention to them.
Yeah.
But I see too many people with very, very disconnected rotating banners, and it's confusing, and it's kind of a turnoff.
Yeah. Is there any, I'm putting you on the spot here, so if there's nobody that comes to mind, that's okay. But is there any that come to mind that do a great job with the rotating banners? Anybody want to give a shout out to? And if not, that's okay.
I can't think. Can't.
You will later. As soon
I
as
mean,
we get done, you'll be
yours
like,
is incredible. So,
well, but mine is not a rotating banner.
it is not anymore.
Mine is a static
But you
banner
tried
that
it
I
though,
do.
did you
But
not?
this is a good point. I do rotate the message, but it's not, I don't have premium, so it's not rotating. But if you look at my banner on LinkedIn, I won't
You're
keep the
always
same
using
banner
it.
for more than once a month. I'll change it. Like sometimes if I'm in a program launch every week, it's changing with a slightly different message on
So
there.
it is rotating,
Yeah.
just not on a cycle, a
Not like the
smaller
LinkedIn
cycle.
rotation. But I
But I think that's
appreciate
smart.
that you know that. And I think this brings up another point, which is, I always tell people like it's like a billboard on the side of a highway. You got repeat
Mhm,
visitors that are coming to your profile. You saying this, I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, Kevin's looking at my profile. Like it's flattering to me that you say that, but that when you go to my profile that I change my banner. So it really does show that the messages that are being on your profile are being reinforced by profile visitors, right?
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good. So we're gonna shift gears a little bit here, Kevin. We're gonna start to pull our audience in for some Q&A, and I see we've got a lot of fellow LinkedIn rock stars that are watching us in the chat, and I want to give them some shout outs in here as well. Now, I'm using Restream, and I have noticed with Restream, there's a little bit of a delay from the time I say drop your question into chat to people dropping them, and then even sometimes all of the questions that are coming up on screen over to the other side, over on the other side of Kevin there, they're not everything that's being reflected on LinkedIn. So what I do is I pull up LinkedIn. I'm looking off to the side because I'm pulling up my LinkedIn, loading up the comments so that I can see the comments that are actually there. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Meryl Cass, who is always promoting our live
Mhm.
streams. And he does a great job of, he'll message me sometimes. He'll be like, so-and-so's live. And if I can, Meryl, I always come in. So I appreciate, he's like our designated live stream notification person. So he does a really great job. I want to give him
Digital
kudos for
barker.
that. I see Jeffrey saying Kevin really, it's kind of really brilliant. Such an idea would never have occurred to me. So loving that on there. Now Sandra has a question. You and I actually talked about the separator symbols in your headline.
Mhm,
And we actually did a test on this because there's some discussion about the pipe symbol being a coded or and we, I think in that call we discovered that search results were not pulling up headlines to the extent that they used to. If I'm remembering correctly, you might remember this better. But Sandra's saying she's noticing the separator symbols in your headline. Some appear up and some down. Is there a reason for this? What do you think?
I chose an emoji in my separator. So I'm not using actual pipes. Pipes are the ones that can be confused with a Boolean command, right?
Mhm.
Which means this or that, but not necessarily both. The emoji is a picture, it has no command value. And I picked one that I thought, well, that's kind of neat. It looks like a tool, right? It looks like a screwdriver. And, part of my branding is, sharpest tools,
Mm.
so I just put them back and forth because people notice it. Whereas if I'd use the same one all the way through, they might not have noticed. But many people go, wow, one's up, one's down.
Yeah.
They're screwdrivers. Kind of,
That's
that's not what they're supposed to
interesting.
be, but that's what I see when I saw them.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I'm just sharing it up on screen in case you're not aware of, and I was just highlighting as you were talking the symbols that were in there. So thank you, Sandra, for asking that question. Really great question on here. I also see a couple of our fellow LinkedIn rock stars. I saw John Asperian in here. Hey, John, how you doing? I see Jeff Young, who had helped to spell out the Rockstar acronym when we were publishing
Mhm.
that list. And
That's right.
John also mentions, and I have to say the same thing myself, we appreciate all the hard work to put together your finds, Kevin. So on behalf of the LinkedIn training and coaching community, thank you for doing what LinkedIn doesn't do. But it's actually, I think it's kind of nice that somebody outside of LinkedIn does it because you're not publishing things from the perspective of how does this support LinkedIn, the business. You're publishing these things from the user community perspective,
Mhm.
and you can be candid because you're not tied to LinkedIn. Your paycheck doesn't come from them directly, right? You
Right, and
can
and
say whatever
sometimes
you want,
LinkedIn, believe it or
right?
not, does things for themselves,
Yeah,
but spins it as if it's something really, really good for the member, right?
yeah,
It isn't always.
yeah. I see another question that's coming in here. Shifting gears to AI. And this is from Sandy Z. She says, lately I've been receiving questions about how I use AI. Really annoying. I'm not sure of the context there, but I want to ask you, Kevin, what are your thoughts on maybe using the AI tools that LinkedIn gives you? If you've had any positives or, cautionary experiences with that, and any general thoughts on the use of
And
AI for
it's
posting and
kind of a
content.
touchy thing
Yeah.
because there's almost too much AI going on LinkedIn right now. LinkedIn understands that, and believe it or not, they've got a new um, cognitive backbone now, Brew 360, that's eliminating a lot of that stuff or making it harder to find. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you're using it just as it's producing it, be really careful because LinkedIn's looking for that as well. I
But
always say that AI can be an incredible muse, but a terrible artist, right?
yeah.
Because it can be
Mhm.
absolutely wrong, but it
Yeah.
can spark things in creativity that can take you further, make you think of things you never thought about, right?
Mhm.
But sometimes it gets them completely wrong. And sometimes it will do things that aren't good. One of the things I thought was interesting back when Dolly was first coming out, I was a beta tester with OpenAI starting in 2021. When Dolly was first coming out, Ryan, the CEO of LinkedIn, said, "Oh, this is cool. I'm going to have it create a picture. I'm going to have it create a picture of me running and my staff behind me." So there he is. And he looks, kind of AI character. He looks a little cartoony, but there he is running and he's got like 600 people behind him running. Out of that 600, maybe two were female, and they
Hmm.
looked like him with longer hair, right? So they weren't
That's
really
funny.
female. So, and then the rest of them, they were all white. So
Uh-oh.
I looked at this picture and he put it out as a post, and I sent him a note. I said, "Do you realize
Yeah,
that what happened with the bias that's coded into AI already,
yeah,
it created something that thought you only wanted these type of people behind you.
that's
And you
interesting.
put it out there without thinking about what's in the image." Well,
Mm,
images, they always say a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Images can
mhm,
be more damaging than words sometimes because you only have so many you can use.
yeah,
That was kind of a learning lesson in that sense that you can't just accept what it has, what it gives you. You've got to then go in and look at it, make sure it's true,
mm,
make sure it sounds like you, it feels like you, it's, ethical and all those kind of ways, but you got to adjust it. You can't just use it as is.
yeah,
Otherwise, it just comes out really kind of vanilla in so many
yeah.
ways that
Robotic,
nobody
bland,
gets
if you
behind it.
will, right?
Yeah, bland is
Yeah.
all the way. And that's,
Mhm.
I love AI. I've been involved with it for a long time, but I kind of love hate it, if that makes sense.
Right. No, I hear
And I
the
will
only
never let anything go out without checking it
without
many,
looking at
many
it,
times
right?
over.
And
Yeah.
I've noticed myself, like, I don't really like the AI tools that sit inside of LinkedIn. I think they're kinda clunky and they don't create great things, but I don't know if you're
Some of the
familiar with
new
this
ones
the
in
Shield
premium are
headline
better.
generator. Have you used that at all?
The which one?
The Shield Analytics headline generator?
Um, I've looked at it, but I haven't really used it.
Yeah.
I will stay away from any app that is not currently approved by LinkedIn.
So I hear what you're saying there, but this is not, you don't need to have
Yeah.
a Shield account to use it, and this might be
No, but
something even to try out.
this
I'll put the link into the show notes for this as well. But you can, so what you do, and I use this with clients who really struggle with, you talk about being bland and having a strong
mhm,
personal brand a lot. So I use this with clients who have their headline that says HR director at ABC company, and it's
mhm,
pretty bland, it's vanilla. So I
yeah,
say, go into this thing. You don't even need to sign up for an account and put in HR director, comma, team focused, comma, rescue dog dad, or put in like three
mhm,
phrases in there. And then you click on headline generator, and there's the standard one and there's the funny headline. I don't think the funny are very funny or appropriate for LinkedIn for that matter. And it'll give you three variations with a bunch of different keywords and phrases. And usually you can find one of the three that you like, or you can mix and match. So it's kind of the best of AI, but because Shield is reading LinkedIn data, and I hear what you're saying about the hesitation there, but in
mhm,
this case, the Shield headline generator, you don't have to have a Shield account. You don't have to provide them your email. You just put in some keywords, you hit the headline generator. So
mhm.
for people who struggle with like being more clever and creative and having that really memorable personal brand, it can help out. So for what it's worth, but when I said I don't like the AI tools inside LinkedIn, you kind of agreed with me. So
The
any
ones
thoughts that you want to share
the
there?
ones around profile are horrible.
Yeah.
The one around, headline and about section, I would not touch them. They built those a long time ago, and they haven't updated them. 'Em. They're
Yeah.
terrible. When you
Mhm.
get into some of the, job search areas, they're actually fairly decent.
Are they? Yeah.
When you get into, and well, I can't say I'm in a beta test on one thing, but they're doing better in connectivity. I'm
Mhm.
not big on InMails, but
Yeah.
they're doing
Same.
more in that in the InMail that really does kind of look at both profiles and try to find the common grounds,
Mhm.
right? And so that can be very time consuming. It's something somebody should do if they really want to connect with somebody anyway, but they're doing a better job of making that work and making it sound natural and normal and not making it sound like something you've just received 30 of them from all the other people. They're
Right.
trying to put it in your own voice. So I
Yeah.
think they're getting better at it. The job seeker stuff is much better in the sense if you want to apply, it's going to tell you why this might not be a fit, what you would have to bring into the resume, right, to improve your chances. And you might not have thought about it, right? So there might be
Mhm.
a gap there. That's the interesting thing between people and AI. People read between the lines, right? We
Yeah.
could see a job, or let's say it's an opportunity. We can see it and we're like, we're perfect for that. When we
Yeah.
actually apply, we might be a 40% match. AI
Yeah.
can see it because AI is just running math, right?
Mhm.
So it's not going to read between the lines. So sometimes in that process of using the AI in the job seeker area, it is identifying things that we might not notice, right?
Mm.
And it's giving suggestions. It's not writing them
Good
for you,
point.
but it's giving you suggestions.
I like
I
that.
think that same model is going to come out in some other areas within LinkedIn for business.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
so, they're learning it in one place, they're going to apply it in others. But I think they're getting much better. And that's the good thing.
Yeah. Good
But
point.
the old stuff, it's
Yeah,
terrible.
not so good. I wanna pull on a string that you just mentioned a minute ago, which was InMails. Like, you and I share so many philosophies, and you said I don't really use InMails. I don't really use InMails either. I can't tell you the last time I used an InMail. Actually, it was for someone whose profile required me to put their email in to connect with them. And I
Mhm.
said, "Do you know that this was set up?" And he said, "No, I didn't." And he wasn't even aware that was a hurdle. Why don't you like InMails, or why don't you use InMails?
I think they've automated too much with InMails.
Mm,
If you think about Sales Navigator, if you think about Recruiter, they do a lot of automated InMails. They all sound the same, right?
yeah. Mhm.
I looked at your profile. It was fantastic. My boss thought you might be interested, in what we're doing. It's all vanilla. There's no detail. And you just saw it four other times and it's
Mm,
all being generated internally. That's why I don't like InMail because if I get two InMails, you know, they're probably both garbage. If I get
yeah.
10, maybe one out of that 10 is actually somebody real that
Mhm.
spent the time. So That's why I think people have now started to think of InMails as kind of spam.
You know,
For the most part.
I actually shut mine off. I don't there's a way that you
A
can shut off
lot of
the
people
email
have done
feature.
that.
Because honestly, I think we're similar. Like you could figure out a way to do business with Kevin by looking at his profile. If you're a human being, you could go through his profile, you could see it in his banner. You scroll through, there's links to different places. Like if you really want to do business with Kevin, or if you want Kevin to
Yeah.
help you in your business, you'll work a little bit for that. I think the people that I see that are using InMails most often are salespeople who
Mhm.
want the get rich quick, route of doing things, or getting into someone's InMail without having to deal with the hurdle of connecting with them, which is trust building, right? And
Yeah.
a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
us aren't going to connect with the salespeople, so they're not going to bother with that. They're just going to skinny their way into your inbox, which for me, Kevin, it kind of feels like spam email. It's the same thing as getting a spam. Like I didn't ask you to email me. I didn't provide
Yeah.
my email to you. You're in my inbox. Now I got to unsubscribe and I'm annoyed and I'm irritated. And the same
And
thing I
I
think.
look at it in the same sense of that
Yeah.
spam issue. If somebody does that to me on LinkedIn, I have no issue reporting them as spam
Do
and
you?
blocking them
Yeah.
because I know people will actually try to have a conversation with them, convince them, right?
They keep going. They're like, "You
Yeah.
said
Oh
no, but
no,
my
they've
sales
got a
training
boss who's
taught me
saying
10
you'll do
no's."
this amount, this, every day, or you're fired. They're
Yeah.
in a different pressure.
Yeah.
But if everybody stood up and said, you know what, that's spam, I'm reporting you and I'm blocking you, those people would stop
Yeah.
because the last thing they want to do is get a restricted account on LinkedIn, right?
True.
Because then it doesn't work. And if they set up another account and the same thing happened again, they would go away because the
Yeah.
system wouldn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the only way to solve it. And don't feel bad about it, just like we would do with spam emails, except now you should never click on the unsubscribe because that is a way to get nefarious issues within that process as well.
Mm.
So on LinkedIn, it's still safe to report.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
Good point. And I do the same thing. I report and then I block. And
Yeah.
there's certain companies too that are using the AI automation to grow your LinkedIn. So I'm like, why are they pitching us? We're LinkedIn trainers, coaches. We know the rules. We're not going to do it. And I found if one employee is going to do it, there's going to be another 3 or 4 behind them. So
Yeah.
as soon as I see the company name and their headline or I just block them right away. It's like swatting out flies. You just got to swat them away because
My
otherwise there's
favorite ones are the ones that come in and say, do you need help with branding or
right.
marketing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Well, do
we
you
do
need
that.
help, right? With
It's
all of
like,
that.
no.
Um, Yeah, not really, I'm good, but you might need help with it. I wanna start to wrap up our conversation today, Kevin, and if people are interested in doing business with you, because what I see this is like a free sample. If you were to go to the deli and you say, "I want a slice of cheese," we got a free slice of cheese, which is Kevin D. Turner's Knowledge Day, but there might be people who are interested in working with you. Can you summarize for us what are the services and offerings that you do?
Honestly, towards career area, we do resumes, bios,
Mhm,
LinkedIn profile optimization, um, social media kind of presence, right? Brand and thought leadership building. We do coaching on that side. On business side, we will do business pages, brand issue in that sense, campaigns and how to run them. So
mhm,
we've got kind of both sides of that. A lot of it goes down to understanding the individual or the organization, where they want to go, and then how to get them there, and then kind of bring that into LinkedIn in the process. But
mhm,
that's basically what we do. We always we're pricing up front, right?
mhm.
We don't play games. We don't say you got to talk to me before I'll tell you how much that is. We've
Yeah,
got it. It's right there on LinkedIn. It's at TNT Brand Strategist. You can download price sheets. You can see what we do. You can see what it
mhm.
costs. If it's too much, hey, we get it.
Yeah,
If it's right, give us a call. Let's talk. We don't discount. We don't do any of that kind of stuff. I think we're a fair price. We're
yeah,
not the cheapest. We're not the most expensive, but we put it right out there because we don't think potential customers should have to jump through hoops to find out how much we
mhm,
might charge.
yeah,
Right. And so we leave it right out there for everyone.
good, and I think, do you have a website or is it your company page you want to send people to?
Company page
Company
and
page.
profiles.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how we do it.
okay,
We do have a website and we ended up taking it down because everything we do is here on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
in that sense. So that's really where we drive things.
There you go. And I'm on your company page right now. I'm trying to like do some things in the background to show it up. But I do have on his company page his latest post. It's the TNT brand strategist services menu for 2025. And it's exactly what he's saying. He lists all of the
Yeah,
services he have along with the prices that are next to them. And I think that's really great because it makes it easy for people to know the value and the investment
yeah.
that they're going to have to spend to
And
work
that's
with
a
you.
pinned post. So
Yeah.
it's pinned there. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. But it's great. It
Yep,
serves its purpose, and, sometimes we don't need to do all the other bells and whistles and every you don't need to be posting every week. If this is serving its purpose and serving your business, I think
yep,
it's a really great example on there.
absolutely.
So as we wind down our conversation today, Kevin, we were talking today about LinkedIn and branding. Any final comments for our viewers?
I think the key is to build your brand, you got to figure out what the value is you bring to the table, right? The
Mhm.
unique value, because everybody has value. What makes you different from everybody else, and refine that, rely on it, right? And promote it.
Mhm.
So many times we have a tendency to not disrupt, right? This is the time to disrupt and
Mhm.
know what you do, know what you do well, know what you want to do, and get it out there and make it uniquely yours.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm gonna add one more thing. In our pre-show, you and I were talking about the market changing and, our clientele and mix and everything. Um, and I said, "Do you ever get asked, do you do this? Do you do LinkedIn profiles or whatever?" And you said, "Not necessarily, but people will sometimes say, 'Do you still do
Mhm.
LinkedIn profile?'" So I think, that might add to the point of what you said, be clear about what you do, but also maybe periodically reminding people about what you do as well. Thoughts on
Absolutely.
that?
As much as you can, right?
Mhm.
I tag it in my comments, I tag it in my posts, but I put it down towards the bottom. It's not too blatant, right? In that sense. I know people will go out there and kind of set the room, go out there and put a post out there, and this is what I do. This is how I make my money. This is
Mhm.
what I can do for you. Those are great, but just
Yeah.
make sure that you are getting it out there, on a regular basis.
Yeah. Great
Yep.
point. Well, Kevin, always a joy to chat with you. You're one of my regulars. I think you'll one of those people that I bring back at least once a year and, love to have the conversation with you, continue the conversation. And I'm coming to the
Yeah,
Dallas area later on this month speaking at a conference. And I think you're one of the people that are going to be, we're meeting up in person for dinner. So I can't wait to have the chance to meet you in person again.
absolutely. Brenda, and thank you for having me here, and thank you for everything you do for our community as well.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. All right. So, as we wrap up for our audience today, I want to remind you that if you have not yet posted this week, this month, or heck, even this year, no time like the present, you can share this video along. So, as soon as we're done watching it inside LinkedIn here, there's going to be a little share icon at the bottom. Just click on that and then tell people why they should watch the video. Watch this video and learn some LinkedIn strategy tips. Tag at Kevin D. Turner, little at sign, get his name in the drop down at Brenda Muller. We'll get notified and we'll add a comment, which will help to jumpstart your engagement. You'll look like a hero because you're sharing LinkedIn knowledge out with others. So, really brilliant tip on there. With that said, I am doing live streams pretty much every Thursday through the end of the year. So you can go to mellermarketing.com/live if you'd like to see upcoming episodes and interviews in the show. And this episode will also be converted into a podcast. And I'm going to let our podcast listeners know that any of the links that we discuss will also be in show notes below, including the link to connect with Kevin. With that said, thank you all so much for watching. If you're watching playback, still leave comments because Kevin and I will be looking for your comments throughout the rest of the day here, and have a great rest of the week. Take care, everyone. Thank you.